Once again, today is a great day, Thursday, and as a starting point for some of you parents who may not be aware of who we are Janice Johnson Shepherd and Willie Caster-John. We are the ones that work out of IPSI at the Institute for Public School Initiatives via University of Texas, and so we support the family engagement activities on our GEARUP grant across all 12 school districts that we support and serve. So thank you once again for joining us. We call this particular meeting today the Council on Financial Capability, because we know that we're going to be with you guys from the 7th all the way to first year college. And by the time that we get there, we want you all to feel capable, not just educated in what it takes to get your children to college and to get them supported financially in that process, but we want you to be capable to do so. And so when we talk about financial education, financial literacy, or financial capability, we typically have interchanged those three definitions. But if I were to say, okay, you all know what a checkbook is, I would say, yes, I know what a checkbook is. I'm educated in what a checkbook is. And so if I say, now, are you literate in how to use a checkbook? And you're saying, yeah, I know how to subtract and add and put my deposits on there and all that. But if we say, are you doing it? Do you use your checkbook? That's the capability part. So it's not enough for us to share financial education with you. It's not enough for you to feel financially financially literate, how to apply for scholarships and loans and all those other things. What is the goal of the Financial Capability Council is to make sure that the education and knowledge and information that you're getting from all of your great coordinators out there and all of the activities that they are facilitating you in, that by the time we get to that 12th grade year, you will feel confident, and capable to support your child financially. One of the things that we want to do here today also is to share with you the districts out there are required to meet certain targets for family engagement. So when they're doing their activities, it's not just, we love families, which we do, there's certain activities that they need to be engaging you and your children in, so that at the end of the day, you have enough knowledge to make good decisions about how to support your children in their college going process. So with that, we have at the top of this color wheel, Council on Financial Capability, which is today. We'll be hosting 4 of those between now and probably early August, just because we had a late start to the school year. But we encourage you families to stay plugged in. We'll have some exciting things each time we meet. We also have what we call a Masterclass 100. Last year, some of you may have participated in that Dave Ramsey curriculum and all those financial capability activities that the districts and coordinators hosted on their campuses for you all. We also have financial literacy workshops that many of you engaged in as well. There are tours of colleges, majors, and scholarships. So all of these things constitute activities that we want to migrate all of our families, parents, students through, so that you get all of the knowledge that you need to feel confident, capable, and supportive of this college going journey, college, military, career, life that your child will end up having, in the future. And so that's what this whole family engagement work is about. It's an engagement, and so it's a relational thing, and we love families. We value families, as our middle core value says. And so anytime you need any coordinator for anything related to GEARUP, or you need us, please feel free to contact us. The other thing that we want to do today, because the coordinators get credit for families, parents, or households who are with us today, we want you to use your chat feature, if you would. And so in order of districts, I'm just going to call out a district. And in your chat feature on this Zoom today, when I say Del Valley, then I just want all of the family or households that are represented for Del Valley to just put your name. Like I would put Janice Johnson Shepherd, UT, you know, and so you'll just put whatever your family name is and what district or campus you represent. So that later when the coordinators write me and say, hey, you know, I had families there, do you know who was there? The coordinators are actually going to watch the chat box now, and then they will be able to see what families joined us today for this Financial Capability Council. So without further ado, let's see who came from Del Valley. If there's any families that came, I can't see the chat box from where I'm at. So Willie, is there a thumbs up going that you can shoot me to say that there is some participants that are doing this? Not seeing anybody yet. Okay, so there might not be any representation from Del Valley as of yet. What about East Central? East Central is in the house. I see Miss Lisa. Are there any parents or families or households from East Central? If so, please put your last name, first and last name in the chat box so we can just say thank you for coming. We're excited you're here. So East Central in the house. All right, next district is Edgewood. Is Edgewood in the house? Any households from Edgewood with us today? And if you are, like I said, I can't see the chat box, but I'm hoping there is some activity going on in there. So thank you for coming, Edgewood coordinators as well. And how about Livingston? Is anybody from Livingston in the house? So if we have anybody from Livingston, please put your first and last name in the chat box and put what school you are attending. And we thank and appreciate you for coming. What about Lockhart? Lockhart got any people in the house today? Go Lockhart. We thank you all for coming as well. Thank you families for participating. What about Maynard? What about Maynard? Maynard got any people in the house? Okay, so if there's Maynard families, put your name in there. How about Navasota? Navasota, go ahead and do your roll call. Navasota's in the house, okay. What about San Marcos? Are there any families in the house from San Marcos, households from San Marcos? Let us know what school, your campus you're from. I think you both have 2 grants that come out of San Marcos, and I might have missed the others that have the 2 grants. Lockhart, I know you're one. Okay, San Marcos, thank you for your involvement, participation. What about Somerset? Is there anyone here from Somerset? Somerset in the house, okay. And what about South San? Any representation from South San? Okay, give South San a little minute. What about South Side? Anybody from South Side on the roll call today? We welcome all of you. We celebrate you for joining us. South San, how about South San? Anybody in the house from South San? And then last but not least, as they say, Southwest. Is there anybody from Southwest? Okay, so with that, we're gonna move on, and we thank all of you who are able to participate in that chat box. We have 2 phenomenal speakers today. One is a very dear friend of mine, and he is, I met him when I was attending ORU way back in the day. I'm gonna read his bio here. His name is Ellis Cottrell. And Ellis has over 25 years of financial aid experience and currently works at Georgia Gwinnett College in the capacity of State Programs Coordinator. Prior to this role, he worked at Georgia Perimeter College, which later merged with Georgia State University, where he progressively served in both as State Programs Coordinator and Assistant Director. He's also held roles in the financial aid office at American Intercontinental University and at Emory University. Like many financial aid professionals, Ellis got his start as a work-study student at Oral Roberts University. Isn't that something? He was a member of a ministry called GMAC, which stands for Give Me a Chance, that helps students in low-income urban areas like Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Memphis, and many other cities to attend ORU. So he was one of GMAC's first recruits at ORU. Isn't that kind of neat? Because it kind of aligns with what GEARUP does and is. And to think that our students can do a work-study program and end up working in that same industry, you know, in the future is pretty remarkable. And he's been doing that for the last 25 years. So the work we do matters and it counts, and it could be a very career, you know, boost to the students that end up doing work study. After Ellis graduated in 1992 with his Bachelor's of Arts degree in theology and a minor in business administration, he began his career as counselor at ORU's financial aid office and has been remained dedicated to the industry to this day. So if you guys will join me in welcoming Ellis Cottrell, we will give you the floor now, Ellis.
Good morning, everyone. Jan, did that PowerPoint ever come through?
Let me see if it did.
And it's truly, I do thank everybody for being here this morning. It's that's going to be hard to come behind Janice Johnson, boy. We might want to end the presentation right here. But I'm going to do my best. And even if I have to improvise, I had a PowerPoint presentation that I was going to try to share with everyone as it relates to the
go ahead and pop it up because it didn't come through, Ellis. I think there's just some, it's just not going to give Ellis the full screen on his PowerPoint, but we can still see what you had as you go through your presentation, and we'll take it from there. We have a good group of neighbors at Neighborhood Place who are always flexible and adaptable, so no worries.
And from beginning, is that where I should start?
Yeah, just hit your screen share button, and then you'll be able to.
And share screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Share.
There we go.
What do you see?
Yeah, we see the screen. It just doesn't open up for some reason into the full screen, but no problem. Just, you can go from there. It's good.
Okay. What you see here, if you see that picture, is a shot of the campus that I currently work at, Georgia Gwinnett College. Now, Georgia GGC, as I refer to it, is part of the University System of Georgia, which is comprised of about 26 state institutions. And there, at this particular campus, we have about 13,000 students. When I was at Georgia State, just to give you an idea of what we work with at Georgia State, it was nearly 58,000 students. So I've come down to a more smaller campus, working with students a little bit closer. Obviously, we're all dealing with the pandemic right now, and have the good fortune of being able to work from home. And the campus, while it's still open, a lot of our students are doing online instruction right now. And that kind of leads me into my next thought as it relates to where schools will be going to from this pandemic perspective. Obviously, things have changed drastically, and who knows what it may be when the kids may be entering into college 2 and 3 and 3 or 4 years from now. But I'm hoping that what I do share with you, which is pretty fundamental to gaining knowledge about what you need to do to get into college, how students and families go about researching scholarships. I'm sure that's what everyone wants to know about. Everyone that I ever talked to in all my days of working in financial aid, the first thing they want to know is, what about some scholarships? So I try to share that with them, although hopefully I'm being gentle when I say the whole word itself means, the students have to be of a scholarly background. So that means that the students have to start working very hard to hit their mark in order to put themselves in a position to get scholarships. So if I'm working with an audience today whose kids are in the 7th, 8th, 9th grade, I would certainly be encouraging them now to work hard, be focused in order to, when they hit the 12th grade, that they'll be in a position to go after scholarships. So that's kind of where I'm going to start. Let me go here. Next. Here, do y'all see it, Jan? Do you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. I'm basically sharing with families here the examples of what financial aid, some of the things that you'll need to help deal with to cover the costs. The federal Pell Grant has been around forever. Again, scholarships, as we mentioned, Jan already touched on my opportunity of utilizing work study when I was at ORU, as well as student loans. A lot of families don't want to talk about that, but I look at student loans as like an investment. So don't write them off until you try it. So, and where I'm at right now, I work with state aid programs, which are primarily, scholarships from the state. These other resources are more federal. This next screen talks about when students and parents who are more like 11 and 12 graders, what they would need to do in order to get themselves ready to complete that thing we call the FAFSA. Hopefully you're getting knowledge now. If you're in the 9th and 10th graders, if that's what my audience is comprised of, you need to get familiar with the term FAFSA, federal financial aid, federal aid for student, for federal, free aid, federal student aid is what that stands for. So these are the things that you would want to become aware of and to put yourselves in a position so that when you reach that 12th grade, you'll be ready to go in order to move into college. That's what we're here for, to at least become knowledgeable of some of these things so that you won't be caught off guard when you walk through the door of the college. These are just some, again, basic information, what you'll need in order to get yourself ready to complete the FAFSA. We call it the FSA ID. Actually the Social Security card information, current email, phone number. And I know I received a question on one of your emails, Jan, from a parent that asked about filling out the FAFSA if she's got 2 kids, how, would she need to fill out 2 applications? And my answer to her was yes. And this is where student and parent will also have to have their own FSA ID number. So again, this is, fundamental information that you would need to at least be knowledgeable of when that time comes to get ready to complete your FAFSA. I'm now moving to the stage where we're actually some of the documents. And this is, again, I didn't know exactly the audience that I would be dealing with today, but if I were dealing with a 12th grader right now and they were looking to try to start school next fall, which would be what we would call 2020, 2022, 2021-22, this is the information you would need to have in order to start working on your FAFSA. You can start working on that FAFSA as early as October. And nowadays, in this time period for completing your FAFSA, the federal government, Department of Education, has made it where you are using your tax information from 2 years ago when that time comes. They call it prior year. So in order to get that information, which should already be done, by the time you start working on your that current year FAFSA. That's what the whole point was, to use tax information 2 years prior to the year that the students would be going into college. So, and I point out here at the bottom of the screen that if a parent doesn't have a Social Security number, that's not a problem. We would want you all to use the, you're able to enter your 00 numbers on the FAFSA. Again, this particular screen here talks to my kids here in Georgia. We call it the electronic application here in Georgia that allows a student to maybe not do their FAFSA, just do this application if they're only interested in what we call the Hope Scholarship application. Again, this is just some basic information on what you would need regarding the FAFSA, tax information, Social Security card, the tax return information that you would need in order to be prepared to complete the FAFSA. Here I'm focusing in on the particular schedules from the tax information that your parents, or maybe even you, if you've done your tax return, that you would need to have available when you sit down and start working on your FAFSA. I can certainly provide this PowerPoint to anyone that needs it or wants it after the presentation. Here again is just a kind of like a composite of some of the things, some of the resources that students may use to cover their education costs, scholarships, of course, grants. We've already mentioned work study, as well as the student loan. All of this is derived from the FAFSA. I'm going to point something out to everyone before I get to the end of my presentation, and it does zero in on, I'm hoping that what most people want to know about in terms of the scholarship. Now, again, we're focusing in on the FAFSA because even when it comes to scholarships, a lot of organizations, if you interact with the organization, the first thing they may want to know from you if you've done your FAFSA. It's important that you be mindful of that, because those scholarships may want you to do that just so that they can see what you may be eligible for. So don't just discount it or cast it away without considering completing it, because it may be a conduit to your getting even scholarships. Here's just a breakdown as it relates to what we call the cost of attendance, your budget, and how you go about taking that financial aid that you're hoping to get to cover the various costs associated with going to college. We in the financial aid business call it direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are tuition and fees. That's something that you really have to be able to cover, whether you're living on a dorm or commuting from home. You got to be able to cover the direct costs, tuition and fees. If you are a student that's blessed to be able to live at home and just go to school, then your cost may not be as much as it relates to what you're going to need to cover that. But if your parents want you to get out the house, which a lot of them really want you to do, then you may be looking to try to stay in the dorm, and therefore you may need more financial aid, more grant money, more scholarship money to be able to cover the room and board component. Here's just a breakdown of just an overview of all the things you may need when it comes to working out with the FAFSA. And I'm gonna just move to my, on the screen, I wanna emphasize to those parents that kids may go off to college. I'm zeroing in on that last bullet that talks about the FERPA form. I want you to be mindful of this, because to me, this is always an interesting dynamic. we're looking at 17 and 18-year-old kids going off to college, and they're still pretty much under the parents' jurisdiction. But in the world of college and university, students have to give parents, even parents, permission to interact with the college on their behalf. So you have to be able to fill out this thing called the FERPA form. So that's something to me that I wanted to point out to the group, so that you'll be aware of when that student gets ready to go off to school. Keep in mind that you need to complete the FERPA form. The kid needs to complete the FERPA form to give the parent the ability to call up the school and talk to them about business related to the student. That's very important to me. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that the admissions office, obviously everybody may know this, but just keep in mind the admissions and the financial aid office are two separate offices. So you may end up having to give information to both offices, and you may say to yourself, well, I've already given that to you. Well, you may have given it to the admissions office, but now we need you to give it to the financial aid office. So that's something else that you may want to keep in mind when your kid gets ready to go off to school, that it's not just one school where everything's being given to the quote to the school. That's something that's, to me, that's kind of important. Okay, I know we kind of come to the end of my PowerPoint, but there are a couple of things that I wanted to point out, and I want everyone to, to maybe get a pen and paper and write this down. This is an organization that I've had an opportunity to interface with over my years of being at GGC as well as being at Georgia State. The name of the organization is ISTS. ISTS. You can look it up on the internet. It stands for International Scholarship and Tuition Services. What this organization is kind of like a clearinghouse. A lot of organizations, they sort of use this organization to house scholarships, have applications where students can apply for scholarships, and it's all over the country. Now, I don't mean for you to just give them a call and say about the scholarship. You may want to research and get on the internet and check them out to see, are there scholarships in Texas? Are there scholarships in Oklahoma? Or are there scholarships that relate to my background? So this organization, I've dealt with them over the years, and they're a very good organization. They're just more like a clearinghouse, a conduit for the students. And these scholarships are being housed on behalf of various organizations all over the country. So keep that in mind. Let me give you the telephone number to that International Scholarship and Tuition Services. It's 855-464-4787. That's 855-464-4787. Again, it's called ISTS, and it stands for International Scholarship and Tuition Services. ApplyISTS.com. ApplyISTS.com. Again, that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I shared with the group, because even if I'm dealing with a ninth grader or a parent of a ninth grader or counselor of a ninth grader, you may want to start working on scholarship searches right now, because you can't wait till you reach the 11th and 12th grade and all of a sudden think scholarships are just gonna walk down the streets and come up on your porch. You have to already have done your research and start seeking these things out. Now, families may want to ask me, a lot of them ask me, well, what does the school have to offer? This is how it works from a school's perspective. The admissions office for a freshman is pretty much the office that determines who gets scholarships. And they're looking at the student's application and seeing what type of GPA the student may have had in high school. And based off of that, that admissions office will then send that student's name over to the financial aid office to say, we want to offer this student a $1,000 scholarship as a freshman. And keep in mind, that may not be for 4 years. It may just be for the first year. And once you get to college, if you're doing well in college, is where you have as an opportunity as a sophomore to seek out your department or talk to a professor about some internship that he may know about, or an organization that he may want to share with you that there may be a scholarship that he may be able to help you with. But it works. It's just not a one shoe fits all situation, or once you get a scholarship as a freshman, it's going to last all 4 years. Students and families have to do the hard work and the research and go out and seek out the scholarship. Now, I know when I was at Emory, they had this thing called the MLK scholarship, Martin Luther King scholarship, and it was oftentimes given to, the top 1 or 2 students from a predominantly African-American school here in Atlanta. And it would be for 4 years. Now, it would only be for tuition and fees. So that student still would have to come up with funding to cover room and board if he was staying on the dorm. So again, it's not always just going to cover the 4 tuition and fees, room and boards, books and supplies. It may not cover that, but that's where that financial aid package comes into place, the Pell Grant, the work study, state funding. There may be grants from the state. It becomes a package deal that helps you cover these costs. Jan, where am I at on time?
It looks like it is 11:04, so we can probably take some questions and answers from the audience if they have some, and then we'll be ready for our second guest speaker. That's been a lot of great information that you've shared, Ellis. And I also wanted to ask, do you see a lot of students that have to leave college because they weren't able to secure year 2 worth of scholarship monies? And, does the universities typically have emergency scholarship money to help students remain on campus, or is it just always on the student and family? Does the university have any flexibility to help hardship cases?
Well, I can speak to this current situation just recently happened. You may have saw it in the news. They call it the CARES Act. A lot of institutions got funding from the government, and some of that funding was used to help students either cover their expenses as related to COVID, as well as help them going into this next semester and year. So that's what happened recently, but just over the whole, it becomes a responsibility of the student and the family to continue to help, make those grants and scholarships appear for that second year. What I oftentimes see is the kids not transitioning strong enough that first year, thinking that first year college is like that high school year, where you can just come in there and glide along and everything would be all right. You have to come into college and be focused so that your grades will speak for themselves, where you yourself can put yourself into a position of seeking out scholarships at the college level. Colleges, even in financial aid, we have applications where students can apply for scholarships. But again, a scholarship is typically for a student with a 3.0 or better, not a 2.0. We're talking about a 3.0. So you have to be ready to work hard when you get there. And I know it's a little tough love, but I've been in this business so long that that's all I know is tough love, because I'm here to let them know that, well, now you're here. What are you going to do? You can't just, think you can just glide along. You're in college now. You got to work very hard, get in that library and pull your grades up to a 3.0 or better so that you can become scholarly and attain the scholarship. They're out there, but you can't be expecting it to just be for a student that's sort of gliding along. So I know, again, I know that's a little tough, but that's kind of where we should be. I mean, it's kind of where we should be. I'll leave it there.
Very good. Are there any questions that anyone would like to ask Ellis, Mr. Ellis?
I know Sergio may repeat some of the same stuff that I said as it relates to the FAFSA. He may be scrambling now to throw that out and pick up where I left off. Hopefully he will be.
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you, Ellis.
Right. Should I say stop share?
Yeah, go ahead and do your stop share.
Okay.
And were there any questions? Let me just take a look and see. You can just unmute and ask if you do have any questions. Okay. Doesn't look like we have any. So Willie is going to go ahead and read the bio for Mr. Sergio Gonzalez, and then we'll jump into our second speaker. Thank you so much, Ellis, for your presentation and for the information shared. And I will take that PowerPoint that you offered to the group and push that out with the recording once that's complete, and we will move on from there. So thank you again for taking your day and time out to share those insights with us.
Thank you, Jan.
Willie?
Good morning, everyone. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you to our parents and our families and our coordinators for trying to get as many people to join this Zoom meeting. So I'll start with Sergio's bio. Sergio joined Sallie Mae in 2005 and is a director for business development who is responsible for both Texas and New Mexico. Sergio has been in higher education since 1995 with 10 years of experience in financial aid. Prior to joining Sallie Mae, he was a financial aid director for South Texas College of Law. He fosters and supports collaborations with local high schools, community orgs, and state representatives by providing resources and presentations to students and high school counselors on college planning. He earned an Associates of Management in Occupational Technology degree from MTI and a BBA in Marketing from the University of Houston downtown. He is fluent in Spanish and resides in Houston, Texas with his wife.
Thank you, Willie. Yeah, I don't think I have access to share screen yet, Janice. Can you make me a presenter?
Now you do.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let me pull this up for you guys.
Sure.
Just 1 second here. All right. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Great. Well, as shared, my name is Sergio Gonzalez. I am the Director of Business Development at Sallie Mae, and 25 years in higher education. And 10 of those years, I was a Director of Financial Aid at a school here in Houston, and 15 of those years with Sallie Mae. And this is what I love to do, which I think why we're all here, is to help prepare these students to save, plan, and pay for college. And that's one of my biggest duties here at Sallie Mae, is to be able to do that. So Janice was kind enough to invite me to present to you guys. And what I really wanted to focus on really was on free money and paying for college resources. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna talk about the 1, 2, 3 approach for paying for college. Ellis did a great job of kind of giving you the tools that you'll need to help prepare you to pay for college. And we'll go through some of those steps that he went through. We'll also go into saving for college, just a slide on that, because I wanted to make sure, because I know that some of you are 9th, 10th, 11th grade, that it's still never too late to start saving for college. And we'll give you some ways that you can do that. And then we'll also give you some grants and scholarship tips. And that's going to be my main focus, is free money. And then at the end, we'll provide you with some free tools and resources that are available for you as well. So the 1, 2, 3 approach, very simple, very easy. This is the approach you should take when looking for the type of aids that are available for you. Step 1 should always look for free money. Money that you don't have to pay back. It's money that you've earned either through a scholarship or through a grant. That is always going to be your step first. Once you've exhausted all grants and scholarships, your next best option is to explore low-cost federal student loans. And as Ella said, I know we are a little leery about having to apply, but that is part of financial aid. And as he said, it is an investment in your future, and that's the way that you should look at it. It's kind of having some skin in the game, but do know that these are loans that you're going to have to pay back after you graduate. And then lastly, if there's still a balance still remaining and there's a gap that you still have to pay off, and you've already exhausted all your grants and scholarships, you've exhausted your student loans, your federal student loans, then the next best option is maybe considering a responsible private loan to help you get to the finish line. But these are the simple steps that you want to take when you're approaching in paying for college first. And then every year, Sallie Mae conducts a survey on how America pays for college. And I wanted to showcase this to you so you can kind of have an understanding how the rest of the country is paying for college. So on average, families spend about $26,226 on college, and they use a variety of resources to help them pay for college. So 43% of that is coming from savings and income, 31% is coming from scholarships and grants, 24% is student loan borrowing, and then lastly, 2% is coming from help from friends and families. And what I'm going to focus on today is really on the saving, and more specifically on the scholarships and grants, which you'll see that those are the majority of the type of mixture of sources available to students and families to pay for college. So with that said, let's talk about how you can save for college, because I know that some of you are still in high school, either 9th, 10th, 11th grade, which is great. It's never too late to start saving. And parents, you may have smaller children, that this is always a great opportunity to start saving money now, so that by the time they're in college, there's a little bit there left to help pay for books, supplies, and maybe some tuition fees if available. So the idea here is also following a 1-2-3 approach for saving for college. And what we like to say is step one would be opening a savings account. And if you already have one for your personal use, that's great. What I would recommend is opening a separate one as a college fund. And then deposit any gifts that you get from friends and families, from birthdays or whatever the case may be, Christmas, and put that money into college and start setting that aside so that there's some money there by the time you get to college. And then you also want to sign up for some free services that let you earn cash back to save for college. And then step two is set a goal and try to contribute to that goal on a regular basis. So for example, if you're from your paycheck on a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly basis, maybe take a portion of that check and put some of that money into this college fund savings account so that there's some money growing there. And a good idea is to try to get a savings account that has the ability for you to kind of track your progress towards the goal that you're trying to achieve. So if your goal is, well, I want to have at least $5,000 available for my son or daughter when they're in college. So it'll say, okay, if your goal is 5,000, this is how much you need to contribute on a monthly basis on however many of years that you're wanting to save that money. So it's just a great way to kind of keep you on track and kind of see the progress that you have towards your goal. And then lastly, you want to explore some tax advantage options like a 529 savings plan or prepaid college tuition plans, because these are other ways to help you supplement some of the savings that you're having for your son or daughter as well. So now let's get into the best part of financial aid, which is free money, grants and scholarships, right? This is money that you don't have to pay back to anyone. This is money that you've earned. And I'll start with grants first. This is a type of gift aid or free money as we call it. A lot of grants are gonna be based on need. And Ellis took the time to kind of go over the FAFSA, which is probably the most important form that you're gonna fill out for financial aid, because that is gonna help the financial aid office determine what type of financial aid they're going to be able to offer to you, right? And a lot of grants and scholarships are based on need. So they need this FAFSA in order to be able to award you these grants and scholarships. So two examples of great grant programs from the federal government is the Pell Grant. It is need-based, so again, you have to demonstrate financial need. And the award for this current academic year of 2020-21, the max is $6,345. So this amount is going to be based on needs. So you have to demonstrate a financial need in order to qualify for some sort of Pell Grant. You may not get the full amount, but you might be able to get some sort of a grant money depending, again, on your need. And these sources come from various entities, right? So these particular ones that I'm talking about, this comes from the federal government, but there can also be state grants. So for example, the state of Texas has what we call Texas Grant for public institutions. And then for private institutions, there's something equivalent that's called the tuition equalization grant. So there are some straight grants available to you as well. And then of course, colleges and some organizations may have some sort of a grant or scholarship program that are available for you. The other important federal grant that's available for you as well is the FSEOG, which stands for the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. And these are for students and families who have exceptional financial need in order to qualify for this particular type of grant. The awards range from $100 up to $4,000. And again, it's a first come, first served basis. So going back to the FAFSA, a lot of financial aid could be a first come, first served basis. So you want to make sure that you file your FAFSA as soon as possible, always available for you on October the 1st, so that you don't lose out on some of these grant opportunities that are available for you as well. So scholarships, similar to grants, the scholarships are typically merit-based, and Ellis mentioned some of this stuff as well. So, but there's a variety of reasons that you can get a scholarship. So the good thing is that they're not only based on your grades, but that's a big factor of it. Academic achievement. If you're making good grades, there's scholarships for that. If you have high financial need, there is some sort of scholarship available for you under that category as well. If you're involved in the community, if you're a member of an organization, if you're really good at sports, you're playing basketball, football, baseball, what have you, soccer, there are scholarships for those activities as well. If you have a specific talent or skill that maybe you're interested in music and you know how to play the piano really well, or you're into video games, there's scholarships out there for that as well. If you're taking a leadership role to kind of show that you have that leadership skill, or that you're involved in school activities, there are scholarships for that as well. There's also scholarships based on your ethnicity and your religious affiliations. And then parents, there may be some scholarships out there as well based on your employment that you have as well. But again, this is all free money, money that you don't have to pay back. This is the best type of financial aid available. So the least borrowing that you have to do, if you have a lot of more scholarships, the better, because it's money that you don't have to pay back. And then some resources to find these scholarships. There are a lot of local and community-based organizations that have scholarship resources available for you. It's just a matter of you kind of going out and putting the work in to see where they are. So this is kind of a listing of the different places that you can find these scholarships. Of course, the federal and the state governments have scholarships and grants available for you. The specific college, like Ellis mentioned to you, will have scholarships based on academic achievement, because they're wanting you to come to their school. And the better your grades and the better your college scores, the more scholarships will be available for you as well. Also churches, religious organizations. If you're a member of a church or religious organization, they may have scholarships for their parishioners because they're members of their church. So you want to go see if there's any scholarships available there. Employers sometimes have scholarships for their employees or students that are going to be going to college. So that's another great area to look for scholarships. The library is also another great resource for you to have to find scholarships and to research the different scholarships that are out there. And then some private organizations and major companies have scholarships that they provide nationwide to students going to college. And then lastly, there's online search engines. And you want to make sure that these are free. You never want to have to pay for someone to find you scholarships. This is something that you can do on your own, because again, it's free money. So why would you pay someone else to do this for you? So there are some online search engines, and I'll provide a few of those for you in just a minute. Okay, so going back to the survey that we conduct on an annual basis, we asked, sorry here, someone's trying to get on. Okay. Every year we conduct a survey, as I mentioned to you, about how America pays for college, and there's a specific area that we asked about scholarships. And the scholarships play a very important role when families are paying for college. About 65% of families said they used some sort of scholarship in the 18-19 academic year that they were in college, which is a good sign that there is money out there. It's just a matter of you finding that money. So about 61% of scholarships came from colleges with an average amount of $10,006. 31% of scholarships came from the community with an average amount of $2,805. And then lastly, 21% of scholarships came from state and local governments with an average amount of $2,882. And the point of this slide is that there is money out there available for you. It's just a matter of you researching and doing your homework to be able to find this type of money that's available for you. So a few tips to scholarship application success. You want to make sure that you're organized, that you have everything that you're going to need to complete your scholarship applications. Be honest. Don't over embellish. You want to create your story, your personal situation, and have them understand what that is. Follow the instructions on the scholarship application. If they're needing letters of recommendations, if they're needing certain things from you, make sure that you know what those instructions are. And then if you're needing to have letters of recommendations, include some strong recommendations from your mentors, your professors, or someone who knows you really well that can vouch for you to say that you are indeed a student that's going to succeed in college, and that this is why you should give this student the scholarship that you're offering. And then you always want to create a lasting impression to the scholarship donors. Because you're competing with several students that are coming and applying for these scholarships. So what makes you unique from everyone else? And tell your story. And then make sure that you proofread. That's very important. You want to make sure that everything is nice and neat, that you check for spelling and grammar. And it's always a good idea to utilize your friends and family that you trust the most to have a peek at your scholarship application, just to make sure that everything looks okay and that they can provide you with some feedback. And then make sure that you know when those deadlines are due so that you can submit those on a timely manner. And then what I always suggest too is to make a listing of all the accomplishments that you've had while you've been in high school, so that it makes it easier when you're writing your scholarship application as well. And if you are having to write letters of recommendation, you're needing someone to write letters of recommendation, give them enough time to be able to do these for you, because sometimes it takes a little bit longer because they're working and they have other things that they have to do and they want to do this for you, but they just want to have enough time to be able to create a really good letter for you. And then always be prepared and do your essays, your scholarship applications early so that you have allowed enough time to be able to concentrate and really organize your thoughts to complete your scholarship application. And some scholarships are going to be based like an essay, right? And I'll tell you that I know you're thinking, oh, essays, I don't have to write anything because I already did that already in high school and I'm done writing essays. But these are the really easy way to get scholarships because not a lot of students take advantage of these, right? And it kind of a little bit more tips on this. And it's similar to what the scholarship application tips that I provided to you. But again, what makes you unique? You want to create a lasting impression so that they say, you know what, this student is so well-rounded. They are involved in organizations on school campuses, outside of school. They're involved in their church. They're involved in the community. So something that makes you stand out so that they can really take notice of you. Always start early, allow plenty of writing time, organize your thoughts, create an outline of kind of the ideas of the directions that you want to go. And every essay, as you're aware, should always have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So start with the strong introduction, have really supporting arguments in the body of your essay. And in conclusion, you want to have a well-rounded and kind of tie it all up together in your conclusion. And again, utilize your friends and families, let them take a read at it and see if you're on the right track and be able to provide you with feedback. And then always, always, always proofread to make sure, again, that there are no grammatical errors, no spelling errors, and that everything is nice and neat and organized. So I mentioned to you about national companies and organizations. Here's a great listing of the different scholarships that are available nationwide. So for example, KFC, Walmart, Coca-Cola, General Electric, Target, these are companies that we know. Ronald McDonald, Gates Millennium, these are great opportunities. So make sure that you take advantage of these and see what's out there and available for you. And parents too, Ask your employer, do you have a scholarship program for your employees of kids who are going to be going to college? Because a lot of employers do have these type of scholarships available for employees of students who are going to be going to college. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of that as well. And then I mentioned to you about scholarship search engines online. So here are some of the ones that we thought were great tools for you. They're all free. Sallie Mae has a scholarship search engine available for you. So does FastWeb, and also College Board by Big Future. And again, these are all free, and you can have access to a variety of scholarships that are available for you. And I'll go into more detail about our scholarship search engine so you can kind of have an idea of how these work as well. So now let's get into the free tools and resources that are available for you. I talked about the scholarship search engine. So basically, Sallie Mae Scholarship Search Engine provides you free access to more than 5 million scholarships worth up to $24 billion. All you have to do is visit salliemae.com/scholarships, and that'll be available for you to start applying for scholarships. So let me tell you how this works. So basically, you're going to register yourself and create a profile for yourself. And then it's going to start matching you up to different scholarships based on the profile that you've created. So the more detailed you are on your profile, the better. So tell us about your grades. Tell us about your skills, your activities, your interests. So the more that you convey in your profile, the more matches you'll have as well. And you'll be able to set up email alerts to let you know, based on your profile, there are some new scholarships that are available for you. So come back and take a look to see if there's some scholarships that you want to apply for. And for my dreamers, my undocumented students, and international students, there's about 18 to 20% scholarships in this database that do not require citizenship status. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of that as well. And then I know most of you are 9th, 10th, or 11th graders. There are some scholarships in there available now for you as well, so you can take a peek. But I'll tell you that mostly 11th and 12th graders is when you're really going to start focusing on scholarships. But there are some scholarships now available for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders on this database as well. And then some other resources that we created at Sallie Mae to help you save, plan, and pay for college. We have various college planning tools. So for example, we recently created a Pay for College resource page. We talked about the scholarship search engine. I know graduate school may seem far away, but we also created a scholarship search engine specifically only for graduate students, a college planning calculator, and then a college cost calculator. So these are different resources that are free and available to students and families and high school counselors. And then we also have financial literacy resources available for you. For example, like the 1, 2, 3 approach for paying and saving for college, a guide for beginners on the FAFSA, understanding your financial aid offer letters. If you're needing private loans, what are the differences or what are the criteria that you should look at? What's the difference between fixed and variable rates? And then if you still have a gap or a balance still remaining to pay for college, what are the options? So you can kind of weigh all the different options that are available for you. But what I wanted to focus on the most was on the Paying for College resource page, because this is a great tool that has valuable information for families, students, and high school counselors. It gives you helpful videos on different topics on financial aid. It has information about the FAFSA. It has information about financial aid offers. It has information about scholarships and grants, and also student loans as well, which I think it's helpful for you to have a better understanding of the different types of aid that's available for students and families to help them pay for college. So that's a great resource to utilize. And this is kind of a snapshot of how it looks like for each category. So for example, the basics on paying for college, it gives you different resources, additional resources that can be helpful to you, and then some relevant articles based on that subject matter. And it does the same thing for the FAFSA, understanding financial aid offer letters, scholarships and grants, and student loans. So it's a great tool to have to help you navigate that as well. And then on the scholarships and grants side, we kind of broke it down further for you to kind of show you videos on how to find scholarships and be successful with scholarships. There's information about grants and scholarships. There's a whole guide on that. There's tips for successful scholarship award options. We have where you can go register for the scholarship search engines, and then different blogs on topics on scholarships available for you as well. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of these resources, because this is why we create these, to help you make you more knowledgeable in how to better save, plan, and pay for college while you're moving forward. And then just final tips, just to kind of close it all and recap on some of this. And I'm going to show you the pay for college side and demo that for you, to kind of give you a look on that as well. But there is no one size fits all solution for families. So you want to make sure, again, that you follow that 1, 2, 3 approach for paying for college. Number one, free money, money that you don't have to pay back. Scholarships, scholarships, scholarships. Best type of financial aid available for you. Once you've exhausted your grants and scholarships, then look at exploring low-cost federal student loans. And then if there's still any gaps remaining or any balances that still remain after you've exhausted your grants and scholarships, after you've exhausted your low-cost federal loans, that there's still some balance remaining, that you may want to consider a responsible private loan to help pay whatever gap still remains. So with that said, I'm going to quickly showcase to you so you can kind of see the differences here. Let me stop sharing. Here we go. And now I'm going to show you the Paying for College resource page so you can kind of see that as well. So here it is. It's basic information. Again, video series, basics on paying for college, the FAFSA, financial aid offers, scholarships and grants, and student loans. I'm not going to go through all this, but I want to kind of give you a synopsis of what's available here for you. So the video series is basically very simple, and what it showcases is various videos that are available for you. They're short and sweet and to the point, but they give you introductions on the resources to help you pay for college, how to go ahead and pay for college, what are the real costs for college, where to find free money, information about the FAFSA, understanding financial aid offers, what you need to know about student loans, and then what options you have to pay for the gap financing options. And then we also provide you with information on FAFSA, financial aid offers, and scholarships and grants. And I'll kind of scroll over to the scholarships and grants because, again, that's the best type of aid available for you. But again, here what it does, it gives you videos on how to find scholarships, a guide on the grants and scholarships, how to register for the scholarship search engine through Sallie Mae, and then other resources that are available for you, like tips for scholarship award success, additional tips on grants and scholarships, and then at the bottom, relevant articles for you, like easy scholarship that make applying for aid a breeze, 4 easy ways to find non-academic scholarships, where does scholarship money go? So these little relevant articles that'll be helpful for you to kind of have a better understanding about scholarships and grants. And we've done all this on all these different subject matters that we created here for you. But again, this is the source to help you understand the different aid available for you and to be able to make really smart decisions about paying for college as well. So that's what I wanted to share. And I guess we can open it up now, Janice, if you like, for any questions that students and families might have.
Yes, that sounds great. So you all feel free to just unmute and ask Sergio any questions you might have.
Are we actually going to get a copy of those slides that you showed? Because there was quite a bit of information, and I want to kind of have a list of those scholarship links.
Absolutely, yeah. So at the end of the call, I'll make sure to forward that to Janice, and she can disseminate the information to you guys for sure. Yes. And on the chat, I'll add some of those links as well, so you can have those available for you.
Thank you.
Sergio, I was wondering, you mentioned that there might be some scholarships for freshmen and sophomores as well. Usually those scholarships, what are they looking at?
Various things. So, I mean, I tell you, when I was researching the different scholarships that are in there are things in there for students who are interested in video games. students who are left-handed. I mean, there are a variety of different type of scholarships that are out there. So it's just a matter of really creating a good profile. So for the 9th and 10th graders, there's stuff out there that they're wanting to know: how active are you in high school? Are you members of any school activities or outside organizations? So different things that are out there that depending on their specific profile, it'll match them up to those scholarships available for those 9th and 10th, 11th, and 12th graders as well. Any other questions? You know, one thing that I want to circle back that Ellis had said about, and Janice had posed a question about what happens after your second year? What if you don't have enough financial aid to cover? And what do you do, right? So I think one thing to note, and Ellis mentioned this too, with what COVID is going on and the particular situation that's occurring with that, but also because of COVID, some families may be losing jobs or having changes in incomes, that anytime that there's a special circumstance that occurs in your income or assets, contact financial aid so that they can repackage your awards and take a look at this. Because if your incomes were different from the time that you did your FAFSA, then there's a difference. So there may be other aid that may be available that they can give to you as well. So always keep in contact with financial aid if there's any changes in your status or special circumstances.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lottie Duncan. I have 2 daughters, a sophomore and a junior. And they're both getting emails about, you know, being invited and talking with colleges, and they're sophomores and juniors. So how should I start approaching that?
Yeah, you know, it's never too early at all. And I think the earlier, the better. And it's always wise to maybe contact admissions if they're the ones who are kind of starting to recruit, to do a tour of the campus and kind of see, as a student, how do I learn? Am I better at learning in a small kind of a campus or a classroom where I have access to a professor to kind of help me navigate the subject matter? Or do I work better at a big university where it's a stadium size kind of a campus where I'd rather not be known and just be able to learn this way better? So it really depends on that student, but I would definitely take advantage of doing campus tours, taking a look around what's on campus. Do they have athletics, if that's what your son or daughter is interested in pursuing? Do they have other activities there? What's around campus? I also would also suggest sitting in on a professor's class to kind of get an idea how different it is from high school to college level. And also asking students that are on campus to say, hey, what do you like and what don't you like about campus, to kind of give them a better idea of the college environment. So I think it's never too early. And then pop into financial aid, even though it's early, but just kind of see what aid is available. What are the most common type of aids that you're awarding to students for financial aid? They may not have information available for you just because you haven't done your FAFSA at this point. They'll be able to share more when you have your FAFSA, but it's never too early to start asking these questions.
And I have them looking at like what the school specializes in, like what type of degrees and things. That way that could help them gear towards what kind of schools they want to go to.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because if your son or daughter are interested in a specific subject matter, and maybe some colleges kind of, they're known for this specific kind of degree that your son or daughter wants, then those are the researches that you want to do as well. You want to make sure that they provide the type of degree that you're wanting. And the other thing I'll say too, because there's always a stigma about, well, if I start a community college, it's not the same thing as going to 4-year public or private. You want to look at all your options and kind of make it a family affair. You want to explore, as a family, what can we afford? Can we afford, based on the financial aid offers that are coming from the colleges and universities, who is giving me the most money that's going to be able to take me all the way to the end of that academic year? And if incomes are tight, it's not a bad idea to maybe start at a 2-year community college, get all the basics out because it's cheaper, and then transfer over to your 4-year public and privates. And if a 4-year public or private is offering you a full ride, then take a consideration in that and make sure that you have all the financial offer letters in front of you to kind of see who is giving me the best buck for me to attend that specific college or university as well.
Thank you. Gave me a lot of information there.
You're very welcome.
Okay, well, it sounds like, was there one?
Somebody had a question in the chat. They said their mic is not working, but how does scholarships and savings affect FAFSA? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I just read it out loud.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. So scholarships don't really affect your FAFSA. Your savings do. So you're gonna have to report your savings like a 529 savings plan. If that needs to be included in your FAFSA, it's included as an asset. So that's how that affects your FAFSA. But the scholarships, the free money that you've earned, shouldn't affect your FAFSA. And I don't know, Ellis, if there's anything else that you want to add to that.
Yeah, I didn't, am I on, Jan?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to get too much into the weeds, but I know sometimes when you do get a scholarship, and I don't know if that question was geared toward if a student does a FAFSA and they have a financial aid package, and then here comes a bunch of scholarships, well, it may impact it from their perspective only to the standpoint that it may certainly do away with the student loans that you may have had on that listing in terms of your award letter. But there are sometimes scholarships, and when you get so much of it, if it starts to exceed what we call your COA, your cost of attendance, then we're looking at some impacts to how much you can get. I mean, it's not like you can walk in there with, if you're attending a college where your cost of attendance, we call it the budget, is $20,000, and then all of a sudden you have a financial aid award that consists of grants and scholarships that are $25,000, then that's where it may start to have some impact to how much you can truly receive. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but I don't know if that question was trying to address that. You know, you addressed it from what they report on the FAFSA, but I was trying to address it on the output part of it once they actually get the award as well as these scholarships. It can have an impact. So you won't be walking out of there with bags of money. The government is not going to stand for that. The college isn't. So something will have to be done in terms of addressing your award at that point.
Yeah, that's a good point. So as Alice mentioned, every school has a cost of attendance, and they can go over above that cost of attendance, right? So if you start getting scholarships more and more and more, which is great,
Yeah.
what that's going to do is reduce the loan amount, which is even better, right? So the less borrowing you have to do, the better, but they cannot go over that specific cost of attendance that they created for you already, unless, and we will go into the weeds, like you said, Ellis, but like professional judgments where you need to increase it because of medical expenses or something that's occurred, but there is a cost of attendance that they have to stay within. And the more you fill that with scholarships, the better, because it'll minimize some of the student loans that you don't have to borrow.
Guys, is there a percentage of the money that students can get back? Because I know sometimes people are like, oh, I got, you know, my financial aid money back, you know, after expenses had been paid. Do universities work from a certain percentage of what they can get back personally from scholarships that they have been awarded?
I hear your question, and I don't mean to jump in on you, Sergio, but I think I hear Jan's question as it relates to, say, the refund that the student may end up getting at the end of the semester. What may happen, Jan, is that if a student has an award package and he receives all of his award and it's addressed the direct cost, tuition and fees. Let's just say the student does not stay on the dorm and he just has tuition and fees to deal with. He may have used some of that excess money that he's getting toward his books. Then that's when his refund will be generated after the direct costs are covered, tuition and fees, and then the books that the school may have allowed him to go into the bookstore and purchases books based off of his award, then he's walking away with the remainder of that. That's not a percentage, a set percentage. That's based off of what the cost of tuition and how much his books cost. If he went into the bookstore and purchased $500 worth of books, and then his refund would have been $1,500 initially, well, now it's only going to be $1,000 because he used $500 in the bookstore. So yeah, you're seeing it from certainly from a layperson's perspective as well as a parent or or student. But it's only working off of what his charges are, what his financial aid is, what his charges are, direct costs, what his book charges are, and then the remainder is then the refund. So it varies. It just simply varies based off of how much financial aid he may have received.
Okay.
Follow
And
what I'm saying?
perfect. Another question I was going to ask, what if you have a student who is, whose parents are divorced? Maybe they're living with the mother who makes more than the father or vice versa. When they're completing their FAFSA application, can they use or be intentional to use the income of the parent who makes the least amount, or it has to be where the child is living?
Yeah, so go ahead. Do you want to answer? No, I was going to say, yeah, so if your parents are divorced, you're going to include the parent that you've lived with 50% of the time of the past year and who's providing 50% financial support to you. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that's how that would work for the FAFSA.
Okay.
I think, Catherine, do you have a question? I saw your
I
hand
do.
raised. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. My daughter already has a 529 plan because my husband passed away in 2015. And so we put a lot of that money into the plan for her. But I don't want her to lose out on any kind of scholarship money or opportunities. So how do I go about that? Because if she is going to qualify for scholarships and whatnot, I want to be able to use that money and not the 529. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but that 529 was really intended to help save and pay for college.
I know.
So, yeah, and you're going to have to include that on the FAFSA. So the FAFSA is going to do a whole calculation based on your income, your assets, the number of household size, how many are going to college. And then this nice little formula comes out to say, this is your estimated financial contribution, right? What the federal government thinks that you can contribute to your education, right? So they're going to take that money, but it's not going to disqualify you necessarily for scholarships and grants. It just means that your need may not be as high, but you can still get scholarships based on your son or daughter's interest, hobbies, activities that are not based on needs. So there are other scholarships that he or she can.
That's what I wanted to know. And like if she's an athlete, so if she were to get an athletic scholarship that could cover the cost of her tuition, then obviously the money saved for the college has to be, but you can only use that money in the 529 for tuition.
Right, exactly.
It can't be used for room and board.
Right, so that scholarship that she'll get, I mean, if that 529 is going to take care of the tuition fees, then going back to Janice's point, the refund is going to be pretty much the scholarships that were given to you. And that athletic scholarship that she might get, or she might get, it's going to be based on, She, your daughter, that is not need-based. So that is based on athletic activities. So that's separate than a need-based award. So yeah. So it shouldn't hinder you in receiving scholarships.
All right, great. Thank you.
Can I jump in? No, I mean, just to piggyback on what Sergio said, and this is the other part, the other side of that story as it relates to scholarships. What I've had the experience of is when you get a scholarship that may be on top of another scholarship, you certainly may want to be talking to the organization to see if the letter that comes with that scholarship can be written down saying that it can be used for other educational expenses, because scholarships, the government, schools have to be mindful of not letting that scholarship that's geared toward tuition and fee stack on top of each other. that's where it starts to get a little into the weeds. But I know we're just talking here to make sure everyone's at least aware of what they're up against when it comes to getting a flood of scholarships and 529s, because some of that money is directly geared toward tuition and fees, and a lot of scholarships are. So when the scholarships typically come into the school, and it's going to come into maybe the financial aid office, but we send it to the student accounts office, and everybody's working in concert to make sure that the tuition and fees is covered and the student is going to benefit from it. But I just want to make sure that the information on that letter that comes with the scholarship says that it can be used for other educational expenses, and that way it can be geared toward maybe the refund that we just mentioned. You follow me?
Yeah, that's good information, because what I'm hearing you saying is every scholarship has a designated purpose.
Exactly.
And the university is obligated to distribute it based on that designated purpose. So if the letter, that comes with the scholarship doesn't include a list or itemization of how these monies can be used, the university doesn't have the flexibility to apply it where the need exists if the scholarship doesn't give provision for that. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's great information to have. So with that, I would say you guys have done a great presentation of the financial aid opportunities that our families have. I was very appreciative too, Sergio, of all of the websites that you took us to had so much diversity there. So when we're driving our families, to those websites, they see people that look like them. I think that is so important, especially in this climate, to have materials, that look like the people that we serve and support, so that they see this is a possibility for me. It's so important to convey that. Also, I've always just known about Sallie Mae and loans. So I was introduced to the broader scale of how you all, work as a national agency, on behalf of students and families and universities. So thank you for that broader view and the presentation of the material that was easy to understand. And Ellis, thank you too. You've just been, helped me with all my financial issues and challenges and questions where taxes were concerned and scholarships and everything all along as a friend. So I was delighted to be able to reach out and find your availability for today. And all of the parents and families also that came from all the districts and sat in. I just hope that you were able to get some information that you didn't have prior to this. Also tap your GEARUP coordinators on your campuses. They have content, even beyond this. They can work one-on-one with you on helping you navigate some of the information today and other information that they do have to support your students in this. And like we said, it's family engagement. We're in our engagement period together, and we're building the relationships that we need to get the information we have to collectively have those benefits available for your children. We want to see them exceed just like you all want to see them succeed in college. So we've got college entry, but we want them to complete college and be in a position to be able to support you as parents later. So the vision for the future, is for them to have, enough education and, understanding and knowledge to be great citizens, productive citizens and healthy adults as they migrate into adulthood. So with that, we just want to thank everyone for your attendance and participation today. And we will be hosting again, as we said previously, 3 more of these this year. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your coordinators. They'll shoot those back to us. We'll push out those PowerPoints once again to your coordinators, and they'll push the information out to you all, so that we don't have to manage all of the email addresses that are on the forum today. So with that having been said, y'all have an excellent Thursday, and go be great. Thank you once again, Ellis and Sergio. Y'all did awesome.
Thank you, Jan. Anytime.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming.